whatever milestones that Black people make against hate, it ends up benefiting all the other people of color. I can't see what his end game is. The Republican Party is the party of racism, is the party of white supremacy, is the party of hate. This is wrong, and it needs to stop.
Everybody wants to go back and drag that piece of history up, but they don't want to go back and deal with what their ancestors did to the indigenous people and to Black people in this country. You got to go. And you got billionaires talking about going to space and Jeff Bezos. Go! Never come back. I hope you get lost. This man has lost his mind.
Boom! Come on, girlfriend! What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online conversation in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And part of that collaboration last year, part of that team reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 dads and fathers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We are broadcasting live on December 13th, and there's lots of things going on tonight with State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and Lala. Now, before we get the main stars, and Lala unfortunately is not well. She doesn't have COVID, but she's been having a lot of coughing and challenges. But before we get Aisha and Jill up, I want to tell people that Dr. Vibe has been nominated for the third year in a row. Yeah, the third year in a row as the best Black Canadian podcaster by BuyBlacks.com in their People's Choice Awards. And this is the third year in a row. I haven't won yet. Now, I'm going to give you some background, but first of all, there's the link, buyblacks.com/PCA/to vote. You can vote every 24 hours. Now, I'd love it if you go every 24 hours to just put a bookmark and say, every day I'm going to vote for Dr. Vibe. The voting started on December 1st, and it goes right till the end of the month. So you can, theoretically, if you're watching this, vote about 20 plus times for Dr. Vibe. I'd like to win, but if I don't, no problem. It's all right. It's nice to be, I was nominated by the readers of buyblacks.com. And people say, well, what's buyblacks.com? Buyblacks.com is Black Canada's #1 online magazine. And they are listed SEO-wise in the top 150,000 websites in the world. Let me just repeat that, top 150,000 in the world. But certainly if you can support, whether you're watching this live on the replay, the link is there. I don't want to take up the stars' time, but if you go there and you scroll down to Best Black Podcast, you click on it, you'll see one of the choices as the Dr. Vibe Show, and you click on it. I will ask the ladies ahead of time next week if I can spend a few moments and I can walk you through it. Or we can do it at the end of the day. It's up to them. It's their show. I'm just steering the ship. So let me get off, because it ain't about me. It's about these wonderful ladies, Aisha and Jill.
Hi.
Hey, how we doing?
Great. Very good.
How's your week been?
Can't really complain too much for me.
Yeah, it's
good. Yeah.
Good.
We had a nice rainy days here in LA, so it's quite nice to have that.
Well, I have a surprise for you ladies. It's a good surprise. So, got to do something here. Let me just put it up. So, This episode of State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and Lala is sponsored by Ebony Occasions. Ebony Occasions is your #1 choice for Afrocentric greeting cards. Why not add that special? Why not add that special touch to the holidays this season by giving culturally relevant cards? Their 20-pack of Christmas cards is on special for $39.99 Canadian, $29.99 US, and that's only $2 a card Canadian, $1.50 US per card. Take advantage of the savings for a limited time only.
Oh, so
Whatever,
nice.
whatever the ebony occasion, they have you covered. And go to www.ebonyoccasions.com. So I
Oh,
said I
it's
had a
beautiful.
surprise for
Oh, it's
you. So this is
gorgeous. I
our
love it.
first official sponsor. Now, even a bigger bonus. I have the gift card box here, one of my own.
Oh, so
Oh.
nice.
So I'm gonna open it up. I haven't like here's the wrapping, and I saw Cher, who's the owner of Ebony Occasions today, at an event, and she gave this to me. And man, Vanna, you're in trouble. You got. I'm not gonna. Maybe I'll open them next week. But here's.
Oh, they're so pretty.
cards.
Oh, they're
Ooh,
beautiful.
they're nice.
And they have come with envelopes too for you to do
Oh,
your
they're
mailing
so
out.
gorgeous to have this. Really nice.
Yes. So, and yeah. So this is. So if I get the ladies' permission next week, I will, open up one of the cards, and we can take a look at all the cards.
Yeah, we should.
Because they will be sponsoring us for the next 3 Saturdays.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you,
Thank
Cher.
you. They're gorgeous.
Yes, and just if people want to get more information, there's the website.
And there's all
address.
sorts of occasions there, right?
Yes,
Just,
yeah, all year round.
Right.
She has culturally sensitive cards all year round. So if Jill, Aisha, and Lala give me permission next week, I'm not going to open any of the wrapping unless they give me permission. I'll open it up, but if you want to, we'll show some of the cards on
And then
screen.
there's Kwanzaa coming up.
Yeah.
So I did this surprise-wise tonight, but if we can go a little bit deeper next week. And
yes,
yes,
sure.
absolutely. Yeah.
And if actually, you know what, we may actually see if Cher's available. We can bring her on and ask her about her cards.
Absolutely.
So that is a surprise for you all.
Lovely jubbly, as they say.
Yeah.
So we have a sponsor for the next
fabulous.
3 Saturdays. And she is a big supporter of the program. She loves both of you, both of you, 3 of you, all 3 of you. Sorry, yeah,
both of us.
Yeah, all of us, yeah, all of y'all, all y'all,
all y'all,
all y'all. So there we go. So, ladies, how does it feel to have a sponsor for shows?
Oh, that's so nice.
I think it's great.
Exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. And also I think it's great because I was just looking for some cards the other day. And I think that, you always want to buy something new to get out earlier. Also having a go-to company that you use is important because it's just hard to find something. They look so well made and so colorful and great graphics. And I love that.
Well, the reason why is, twofold. She said, I'm getting more and more inquiries from the U.S. And she goes, do you think Aisha, Jill, and Lala will mind? I said, of course they won't mind. And so she said, yes, she wanted to do this promo for the next 3 Saturdays on this platform.
Yeah, lovely. I love it.
So there we go. So there you go, everyone. We have a sponsor for the next 3 shows. And Jen Myers is here via Facebook. Hello, Jen. How you doing? Hope you're doing all right.
Hi, Jen.
All right. So since we've got some more fun, let's start with the stories the stories that you wanted to chat about. So let's talk about this first. For the second time in 2 years, voters in Georgia will choose their senator in a runoff election, which this time will determine whether the Democrats expand on their 50-50 majority in the House. I think, and isn't early voting ending fairly soon in Georgia?
I thought it ended.
It ended yesterday.
Right.
It ended yesterday. Mm-hmm.
Aisha, your thoughts about this runoff election?
Well, I was tweeting somebody about it earlier. Someone said yesterday on TV, I can't remember who it was, but they said that Warnock has supporters like Obama and Walker has handlers like Ted Cruz and Lindsay who won't let him talk because they've been talking for him. And he literally is sitting there like a token. But Obama's takedown of Walker,
the one I sent you
Thursday was so good. It was so good. He basically really showed you who Walker is, which is someone who is not equipped to be senator, someone who doesn't have the the skills or even the knowledge. And he hasn't demonstrated it on the campaign trail at all this entire year. He knows nothing about the issues. He's just picking at the culture wars because that's what that base likes. And hopefully Georgians will do what they did last year with the runoff, and pick Warnock. And the winning of Warnock, it frees Kamala Harris up from having to always be the tiebreaker. And it also means that Joe Manchin and or Kristen Sinema will have less of a cuckold on the Democratic Senate majority.
Yeah, I don't even. It's rather shocking that we're here. That people in Georgia didn't do it right the first time.
Right.
That they are underestimating their neighbors and thinking that there's more of them than the other one. I still haven't recovered from the fact that they put Marjorie Taylor Greene back in either. And so I'm not 100% on what's going on down there. I just think they're an illiterate state at this point, and I don't have much faith in them.
Well, you got to worry too about.
Yeah, I'm very worried
about with the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing. You got to worry that they're going to nominate someone who's worse because of the little tiff that she's having right now with racist Nick Fuentes.
And McCarthy.
Calling her, McCarthy. I just think, but see, she doesn't really have beef with McCarthy because they made a deal.
She wants his job.
Oh, she wants his job. But
I just feel like the people of Georgia, and I have many friends who live there, and happy to say for them, most of them are wealthy people. They wouldn't even be affected by any of these white racists going in. That's what's really crazy. So they don't care. They fly off. They do their things. Their money is elsewhere anyway. It doesn't bother them. But what's crazy is the amount of poor people who live there that are not voting. And, if they got it wrong again, I can't blame anybody but themselves. We can't keep floating these states and sending them money over and over and over. It's like, what do I look like, a bank? I'm not. Get it right the first time.
The promising thing, though, is that they've broken all records this week with 2 million early voters, and that always bodes well for the Democratic candidate. The last
they put Kemp in again. I've written them off.
Yeah.
I can't see how the two things can exist. Do you understand? Like, I'm trying to see how the same voter who voted for Kemp is going to vote for Warnock. That's
and they did.
Right. But
and they did. And that makes no sense, but it also shows you the kind of candidate that Walker is. When even the lieutenant governor said is a straight MAGA person, said that he stood in the line for an hour, and when he got to it, he left because he could not vote for Walker.
Yeah, but the fact that we're laughing that Lindsey and all these guys came along and wouldn't let him talk, I thought more that was Lindsey Graham and the rest of the Republican Party sending a message to their voters, which was, we got him under control. We're going to be doing the voting. He's going to be doing everything we want him to do. And if the other voters in that state, the Democrats or people who don't know who they're voting for, didn't recognize it that way, because they're not looking at it as, oh my God, he wasn't even allowed to speak. They're like, good, keep him quiet, get him to vote and be the body that we need. Because we don't really give a shit about Herschel Walker anyway. We don't care if he beat his wife, ate his wife, drove over his family. We just want a body who's going to vote on our behalf. And that was actually more disturbing for me, the way I saw them standing there like handlers, as you said. And that for me is something that appeals to the white racist voter.
Oh yeah. But you also have to.
But I don't know if it registered with the kids and the young people who are not showing up to the polls from the Black community or the Hispanic community who also have decided to align themselves with white people. Shockingly.
Well, 2 million to have 2 million early votes when the last time around this time they only had 230,000 does say something. But I also wonder, was Lindsey Graham the right choice of someone to come down there when he's being investigated in Georgia from the 2020 election? That also tells me that they don't really have a really good grip on who would be a good messenger. Kemp stumped for him one day, but they also were not letting Trump anywhere near Georgia. Dems welcome Barack Obama.
That's really observant that I haven't seen 45 going down there.
No,
because Walker's people also told Trump, do not come.
Exactly.
Because they know that he would hurt the campaign and it would result in more Dems coming out. Particularly during the early vote.
Yeah, because I'm saying this runoff's happening in the next month or two. I haven't seen 45 down there.
Yeah.
Really?
And that is one of those things that, they recognize, but at the same time, they also don't want to call it out and state it and state it and say it plain.
Right.
Donald Trump is the reason why we keep losing elections. That's like they're doing this. The Republicans are doing this autopsy of this election cycle, and I also posted this on Twitter that they're doing the autopsy. People typically do autopsies on things that have died. So essentially what they're saying is they know their party is dead, but they're trying to figure out why or how. Donald Trump and these MAGA crazies, that's how. And they won't call it out. And it goes back even further than just Donald Trump. When they let those Tea Partiers come in and take over, they were doomed. And they didn't stop it then. They keep doing these autopsies, but they refuse to address the actual problem.
So the Georgia, so you're saying that, yeah, let me go back. 2 million people did early voting?
Yeah, that was the count by last May.
It's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think the last time they said it was like 250,000.
And going back to I think what I had sent you, where Lindsey Graham was on one side and who was on the other side of Herschel Walker?
Ted Cruz.
That really concerned me.
Yeah, it did.
That it really, really, like, as a Black person, that concerned me.
But the other side of it is that the dumb Black person was sitting in the middle.
Well, because
he could have gotten up and walked out. He could have said, "I'm the one that's running for this seat. I'm going to talk."
He doesn't even live there, though.
He sat there looking stupid, lost in the sauce, and just.
That really concerned me.
I mean, and Lindsey Graham with this, he's our Negro. Rhetoric.
Okay, Aisha. All right.
At what point do you sit
Jill's
there
proud of you because you're on fire tonight.
But at what point do you sit there as a Black person and be like, okay, this is too much. I'm not your token. But he didn't. He's proud to be their token. And one of the things we have to look at too is why they picked him. They picked him for two reasons. One, because he's Black. They wanted to run another Black person against a Black person to siphon off Black votes, and because they all think we look alike. And two, because the first two letters of his name are the same as Warnock, and they're banking on people going in, not really paying attention to the ballot, looking at just going for the WA, thinking that they're voting for Warnock. I mean, for Warnock
and Walker,
not Walker, and Walker. Right. Yeah, vice versa.
I didn't even think about that.
The only reason I realized this is because for the South Carolina state legislature in 2000, I want to say it was 2006, the same thing happened. They just picked someone named Al Green, and so people assumed it was,
No, don't go there. Don't.
Yeah, and
Please,
so and
please
Al
don't.
Green,
No,
Al
no.
Green, and
Aisha,
it
change the
pains me to
subject. No.
say this. It pains me to say this,
No,
but
you're
Al
paining me.
Green
Don't
was
say anything else.
worse
You're paining
than
me.
Walker.
Right.
He was worse than Walker, no, they're basically on the same plane. Let's remember that debacle of what was it, 2008, 2010, something like that, and they interviewed that guy, and it happened that
Al
Democrats,
Green.
he ended up being the Democratic nominee.
Aisha, I'm sorry, but I haven't been able to get past Al Green yet. Sorry, but come on. Please tell me you're joking.
No. But for Black people, the thought was, Al Green, the singer, Al Green, the revered former congressman. So, yeah. And I mean, you want to talk about a bump on a log. And he literally just went and
Al
put
Green.
in,
Al
to
Green.
register to vote, register to run. And it was a disaster.
Is it that bad?
It is that bad. It is that bad. The one thing I can say, though, is that one of the things that Warnock did do is that he went to all the universities that he could in Georgia to get students out to vote. And so I think that will actually help. So it goes back to what Joe was saying earlier about the young people. I appreciate the fact that his campaign realized that there could be less turnout among young people. And so they deliberately went out. He went out to just about every college to get the voters. So
Jill, help me. Al Green.
Yeah, I mean, we have a horrible situation here with illiteracy in this country, and in very many regions of Georgia, it still exists. You're talking about many people who won't even show up to vote because they live so far away from the polls, or they don't have any way to get there.
Yeah.
And that's really true there. I mean, let's never forget that after slavery, people were, told they were free. There were many people still in Georgia who were not aware of it. And I mean, until the 60s, there was some people who have been working for these farms as like whatever they're doing. It's just really bad.
Yeah.
The sharecropping kind of concepts. And
yeah. And the South doesn't really have a great transportation system.
No.
And that's
you either have a car
by design. That's by design. For example, South Carolina, when I was living there, the public buses were run by the utility company.
Yeah, there's no trains. It's not like, where you go into Europe and you can get to remote places by train. America, really, when you sit back and look at the country and the makeup of it, the whole thing was to hoodwink you, to just really give you the least and make you pay the most for it. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we have a Congress and they just kick the can around. I keep telling everybody that it hasn't changed that much. The arguments are always the same boilerplate references that Republicans have been using for eons, and the same for the Democrats. It is never a different model. And even though they say the party is dead and, clutch pearls about the Republicans have gone too far, they've gone too far every time. Every time they have always been outside the boundaries of decency within every era, by the way.
It's not a bug, it's a feature of the party.
Yeah, it's just a feature. You're absolutely right. So for me to see, the old Herschel Walker standing there, he's no different than the many turncoats and betrayers of the community that we've had before. He's a
carpetbagger. I mean, let's be honest. He should not be able to take
Josh Hawley is too.
Yeah.
There's a few of them that there are a few in Congress who have not lived where they said where they are.
But do you know how he got around that in Georgia? Because Georgia, I read this the other day. Georgia does not require a person to actually live in the state while they're running. Only after they've been elected.
Right.
So that's how.
So I could run from.
Right. So, I mean, literally, I could run for office in Georgia I
I
just
mean,
have to
do we
have
even have to be a
temporary residence.
citizen?
And it's, you know, and going back to the transportation issue of people in the rural communities, like Joe was saying, you know, the South has after the 1955 bus boycotts, the South started racializing public transportation.
Yeah.
So only those people, those Black people, take the buses. And so
Right.
because of that, they haven't expanded it. And if you're not going to expand the ways for people to get to the polls, you have to expand where you put the polls. But Georgia's legislature, with this new gerrymandering thing that they did, that's going back to court, they removed these polling places that were in these rural areas. And so now they're trying to go to court to be able to let the legislature, which is majority Republican, majority white, say that we can change things without oversight of the federal government, which that violates the Voting Rights Act. And we have a SCOTUS that is not even interested in, they don't even pretend to be interested in trying to protect the voting rights of people. And so we're looking at really some scary times ahead when it comes to voting, because until we can do something with the Supreme Court to the point that we can restore those principles of the Voting Rights Act, you're going to see a lot more of this. And remember, the Voting Rights Act was put in place because all of the thing that they stripped away was that oversight of the federal government on those states that had traditionally prevented Black people from voting by doing counting the jelly beans and the jar tests, all the poll taxes and all of that. And that was removed. And so these southern states want to return back to that. And it's interesting that we're talking about Georgia now, but one of these days we'll have to talk about Mississippi, that has a third of the population is Black, and they have absolutely minimal representation in their state house. They've never had a Black governor. They've never had a Black speaker in their state legislature, and the leaders and in the leadership. So it is something, we have some very archaic ways in this country and how we treat voting, how we treat people with their civil rights. And, it seems that people want to go back to that.
Okay, let's do a little catch up. Have some comments here. Cinema says, hello, beautiful people.
Hi,
Also,
Cinnamon.
someone we have not heard from a while says hello, Christy White.
Hey, Christy.
Hi, Chris.
Yeah, and she's saying she has been doing super busy advocating for survivors and families like mine, especially since the Winnipeg news, which that's another conversation topic. But Christy, good to hear from you. Hope your son is doing well also. So thanks for stopping by. But yeah, this, I don't know, I sort of like it's going backwards, like really backwards. And it's really sad.
We're
Because
basically
it comes
living
down
in
to
1954.
education. It comes down to education. And for many, many years, God, even just the past 20 years, America is coming on the list of, the lower and lower and lower with our education standards. And what's really, really tragic is the least amount of days that we send our children to school. Most other countries have at least 60 more days that they send their kids to school, and not us. We should have known with even the COVID vaccine, how people were going to be like, I don't want my kids to have a shot. And then the other ones who are like, I don't want my kids to go to school, because there was also a big issue of getting kids to the schools. So, our whole system of schooling and education was based around an agricultural lifestyle, like based around, in the summer. And it's not like that anymore. For a long time, it hasn't been like that you're going to work in the summer in the fields. It's like, this is global, and these kids could really go to school all year. They could use it.
Well, I don't even think that going to school more days would help when you have legislatures deciding on the curriculum and wanting to not, for example, not teach history.
But here,
Aisha, going more days isn't going to help.
That is nothing new. That about burning books, that's been going on for 25 years. You know
Yeah,
what's so interesting?
but the taking out.
The only thing that changed is that everybody has a jargon, a phrase, a catchphrase for it. CYT, AB Boo, RKL. Everything is an acronym. Everything. But it doesn't mean that it's new. It's always been going on here. It's unbelievable. Everything that the Republicans have been kicking around anyway with government, and what the Democrats won't fight for, or their messaging is off, that is notoriously a Democratic thing to do. And we talk about it in jest over and over and over every year. And it's nothing new. And burning books and Christianity, and let's talk about abortion and all of that.
That part's not new, but the part where they are going in right now and editing books that actually have historical things, like, for example, in Florida, they're removing Martin Luther King, any reference to Martin Luther King, out of the books.
Yeah, because period. You know why?
But they're going to take anything. The day. How do you not teach who he is? And kids turn around and say, well, why do we have this day off?
Well, first of all, how are they able to physically reprint anything and touch it like that without being sued by the publishers? Number freaking one. You cannot touch somebody's, maybe they have somebody going in and crossing it out.
No, what they're doing is they're going to publishers who think like they do and will write these books.
Well, then maybe authors need to sue the publishers at this point, because these are willing authors. But they should never
literally put together a panel to do this.
Yeah, but guess what? Don't give it to their dumbass kids. Who cares? Who cares? America will suffer and is suffering for its illiteracy.
Oh, yeah.
This is just a point that they want to see how far they can go. Who cares anymore? I don't care how dumb or smart their kids are. The other day, a 10-year-old shot his mom in the head because she wouldn't get him a thing, and he's being tried as an adult. Who fucking cares anymore? I don't fucking care. I really don't give a shit. That's done. Why am I fighting for rights of people? Real conversations that happen might be, how about the fact, abortion, it's a really shitty thing to have to do. It's horrendous. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But for the same moment of me to be excited about the sound of a heartbeat when I'm with my husband and expecting and excited about the baby versus when I'm not prepared, that's the same situation. It is murder. It is something that you'll have to live with. But let's not try to sugarcoat it and say it's not a real living anything. Okay. But no, Dr. Vibe, I just want to say this.
Yeah.
Those are real conversations that move it forward. They move it forward and they don't want to be had. But it does not take away that I feel people should still have a right to their own bodies. But from the science that we know, yeah, we're getting into some gray areas when it goes, should you be able to eliminate your pregnancy when it's dangerous to the mother, et cetera, or rape? Fine. But the reality is, let's not pretend anymore about things just to politicize it. Let's just all get fucking real about what we're doing here.
Well, they're having that conversation, Jill, about the birth control pill. This one woman tweeting, oh, do you know that taking the birth control makes women bisexual?
Yeah, see, that's when you start playing games with what we end up with, stupid conversations. The reality is, if the one thing, we still should have a right to our own bodies, but to deny that there is something that may have had an opportunity to flourish, let's all come together and agree. Yeah, but let's try to figure out and prevent women from getting to that place where they are put in the position like that to have to do that.
And Walker,
last comment,
and Walker is not having these conversations. That's when it comes out to Georgia. That's the point. He didn't even want to debate Warnock. He debated him once. Why? Because he doesn't know how to have a literate, functional conversation on issues. He has no platform. He knows nothing of what Georgians are concerned about. He just used to run with a ball. And what's even sadder is that he can't even remember when he left the NFL. He said the last time he played football was in the 80s. He left in 97.
He did. I know.
It's like, so yeah, this race is. I agree with what Jill said before. This race shouldn't even be close.
It's really scary for me to hear.
Okay. Christy says it's completely going backwards. Cinnamon says more days
But
at
ass
school will help.
backwardsness has always been something that we've always attributed to the South.
But
I'm
can
just
I
gonna
just say
that.
something
And I'm not.
quickly? Like,
And I've lived in the South.
why are we wanting our Black men to be represented by some of the stupidest? These are not the best and brightest. And then why? Because he's not the only one that's been moving around in all of this. They're really highlighting some real nitwits, guys.
Okay.
It's terrible.
So Cinnamon says more days at school will help and perhaps change the vacation period to the winter months. And then Christy also says, as an author, this whole thing is over the top, frustrates me.
Terrible. It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
As a writer, it frustrates me as well.
Let's move on to our next conversation piece. We've got new slate of Democratic leadership in the U.S. House of Representatives elected. Aisha, go for it. Then we're going to talk about why Clyburn is there.
Well, okay. So I'm happy that Gen X is finally coming up in leadership with Hakeem. I forget the woman's name.
Jeffers. Yes.
Him and the two others that are going to be the whip and the majority leader. The problem that I have, and I've worked with Clyburn on some projects in South Carolina that he did for this state. He's mad cool. He knows his stuff. However, I thought he was leaving. Okay?
I did too. Right?
I thought he was leaving, and he got that fourth position in leadership, which to me was like, dude,
how did he get it?
I honestly think that Cicely, who's from Rhode Island, would have been the better pick. Then you would truly have leadership that looked like all of America. You got a woman, you got
absolutely
American, Latino, you got an LGBTQ, and it would have. I think that it would have really shown progress. I get why he wants to stay, but
why?
And the reason I'm getting the reason he wants to stay is to kind of be that voice of experience. However, these are not 20-year-olds.
No,
and these are people who've been in Congress for a while.
Yeah,
they were tapped to follow the leadership and to watch what they do. So you're not dealing with novice people. It'd be different if they stuck AOC in leadership and it's like, yeah, she might need some guidance because she hasn't been there long. But Hakeem Jeffries has been there for a long time. He doesn't need anybody over his shoulder. And it's like we're going from octogenarians to Gen X. They were there so long that there wasn't any room for baby boomers.
Thank you. They're so fucking old. It's like, bye. I thought he was leaving.
Yeah, and I'm usually the generation that gets skipped in everything. When people talk about the generations, they often forget that we exist.
Yeah.
But yeah, let them lead. Let them do their thing.
Absolutely.
And kind of
for the world
and step back.
It's not a good look.
I'm sorry.
No, I thought he was going after Nancy and Lenny or her guy.
Yeah. And yeah, he stepped out as whip, but you came through on that fourth one. And I just think that that's going to leave a bitter taste in the mouths of some members of Congress. If I was a member of Congress right now, I'd kind of be bitter about it. And I personally, liking him as I do, would not have voted for him in the fourth. I would have voted for Cicely.
And what he did let's not forget what he did during the election. Yes, he got everybody around to vote for Biden, but I don't know. He just ends up to me feeling like he's going to be the fly in the ointment for whoever.
We're going to talk about this conversation a little later. And I think that he still could have done the thing about making South Carolina the first.
Thank you.
Without being in a leadership role.
Right.
Just being a senior member. What about being like like a senior member emeritus, like Nancy Pelosi is doing.
He's like
And
the father in that TV show that ran B13.
Scandal.
He's the dad that just won't go away. Like,
Right.
oh, man, what you got on everybody?
B613, yeah.
The Clyburn.
Yeah, I don't get.
And remember, at the end of Scandal, the very last episode, the father said, "I have been running this country," and you find out all the stuff that he's done. I won't be surprised if after he leaves Congress, we find out all the shadow stuff that he had been doing.
That's what I was like, man, what is it? That, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. You know, he'll give a big old monologue like the dad did in Scandal.
Yeah, like
hopefully in 2 years he won't do this again.
Yeah, but he will have planted some seeds, girl.
Yeah.
There'll be landmines somewhere for the next 10 years.
He's got a mission to accomplish. He needs 2 more years to do it.
You know it.
I don't get why
the mission is not complete.
Yeah, why does he want to stay on? Like,
he's like, hello.
What? Look, what's gonna look? These Republicans are doing all these investigations. There's going to be some hearings with Jim Clyburn saying, "I have been running this whole thing. You white boys think that you've been running it. You have not.
I put you where you are. You don't even realize it. You know? Damn. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, because I guess both of you are hoping for a total restart.
Yeah,
and now you have this remnant.
Yes, a remnant. Yes.
Look, they left the residue, right? It's like,
yeah. But this one is interesting. Yeah, this is like, he's not leaving to do a podcast or anything. He's just still there. You know,
the whole thing is that he would still be a member of Congress because no one can beat him.
Right.
So why do you need to be in the leadership?
The devil's in the details. He'd be working.
I'm waiting for those hearings.
Yeah, I know.
Something's up.
Yeah.
Something's up. And let's then just segue about Democrats vote to make South Carolina, not Iowa, first prime. And why?
Because
I think it's
South
a good
Carolina
idea.
looks more representative. Remember, South Carolina comes in what, 3rd or 4th?
Yeah.
And that's when you get your first Black voters weighing in on the primary. So they want to start with South Carolina because you're going to get a bigger mix of people putting those candidates out. Because honestly, Iowa, so white. Then New Hampshire, so white.
Yeah.
So
New Hampshire doesn't really represent, and here we are with Iowa, and everybody who's still on the laurels of we're the foundation, like we're the founders. Ancestors, and you've got to kiss it. We have to they don't speak for the rest of the country. So yeah, I think
you remember the last two caucuses, the last 2 cycles with the caucuses were messed up anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't like it usually goes. That's true.
So South Carolina does not caucus. They hold an actual primary. So I think that will be even more beneficial to people, in that you'll start to see. What we're going to see is that people are not going to tolerate a white on white ticket anymore.
No, they're not.
I think personally, in addition to some other things, I think that was one of the things that killed Hillary Clinton's campaign. I mean, Tim Kaine's cool, but why would you choose Tim Kaine after we spent 8 years Obama Biden, and then to find out that we ended up going with Biden Harris, when we did win again? That to me is like, what was that oversight? Why did Hillary Clinton feel like she needed to run with a white man?
Right. Yeah, because she was still salty about whatever went down in the Obama years. There were bad moves. Like if you're playing chess, she made some bad moves that
she made a lot of them
up. They set her up to basically fall on her
them.
Face. It wasn't and Trump knew what those moves were, and they just took her to town. They wiped the floor with poor old Hills.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
I'm still trying to understand why they're wanting to do this. Is this to get, because regardless of when it's held, you're still going to get probably a large Black turnout.
No, because remember because of when it's held, it puts our votes kind of like they don't count until they need us, right? But also too, I think it's more advantageous for a better mix when it comes to the primary slate of candidates. I think that you're going to see more people, more quality people, and fewer people who are
And then
establishment
this,
people running.
don't
And then,
forget this, the money.
yeah,
You save money, I think, also doing it this way, to be
yeah,
honest.
because the caucus, remember, they spend when they
Millions.
spread out their money for primary, the
Yeah.
majority of their money is spent in Iowa and New Hampshire.
And let's be honest, if they're doing any projections with the feds raising all this, ain't nobody going to be giving that much money to these
Because
elections. They're going to have to
like
cough it up somewhere.
Yeah,
They
remember,
really
like
aren't.
5 people had to drop out by South Carolina because they didn't have the money to keep running.
Exactly. So, because even, it's a slimmer kit that I'm wearing this year when it comes to donations. I'm not in my full on gear because it's just not that kind of party anymore.
The Iowa caucus
it was
also
a Kool-Aid.
Really stupid.
Honey, it's a Kool-Aid event right now with people asking for money. I'm like, not anymore. No kombucha here.
But the Iowa
Kool-Aid.
caucuses, I mean, there's also fewer chances for people to embarrass themselves. Every last one of them has to go to these daggone fairs where they're eating the corn dog, licking the ice cream, and get some embarrassing shot that Republicans then turn around and use, like the one with Hillary Clinton eating a corn dog and then implying that it was like oral sex. It's like, come on.
Right.
They can avoid this.
Yeah.
South Carolina is not going to have them do that. They might have to go to a lizard's thicket, but that's about it.
Crazy.
Oh,
I mean, and it's really true. And a lot of those events can't even be counted on anymore. There's different changes in the demographics and people who live in these places. I think South Carolina saw a real influx of people who moved there during COVID. Like a lot of people moved there. That has a lot of people shook over there, like, oh my God. But it really represents that a lot more of the American people. And, we'll see.
In the last few cycles, South Carolina has always chosen the Democratic candidate.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people that you're not like concerned about. For example, even with Barack Obama, he won Iowa, but then he lost New Hampshire. He picked up steam again when he won South Carolina.
And that was rare. Iowa's a rare dog. I don't see, it's just too starchy.
And with him with Iowa, you got to remember the reason he won Iowa was because he started campaigning there a year ahead of anyone else. So he had infrastructure.
Right.
That is why he won Iowa. And that cost a lot of money
to build those relationships with those people. Yep. It's so true. So we'll see, but I think it's a good idea and I hope it saves some money,
I do too.
And weeds and just does a lot of weeding out.
Yeah, I do too. And Joe Biden supported this obviously because that's how he got the nomination, right?
And that's why Mr. Clyburn
and Mr. Clyburn was instrumental in getting this vote passed.
Yes, he
needs to do more of that. That's your niche.
I'm telling you, B13 or what was it? B113. That's what he's doing. That's it. That's
what you do. Remember, he puts people in place. That's what he does. He doesn't need to be in leadership to do that.
No, he picks them.
He does. Like I said, he's going to
old school.
Yeah. I mean, remember, he got that second pick for the SCOTUS. Joe Biden to consider the judge out of South Carolina as his second pick. So
you go to dinner with Mr. Clyburn,
and guess what?
You better it's either you're in or you're out.
Yep. And guess what? That woman that was going to be the second, guess what Clyburn got her? Ketanji's old seat.
Oh, he did. Oh, wow. There you go.
So Clyburn
swore her in last week.
So he's a real power broker.
Oh, totally.
Oh my God, he's a power broker nationally. You should see how he's
the
Don. In South Carolina.
Guys, he's the Don. Why are we gonna mince words here? I don't want to he's the Don. And I know we would really like to see some of the younger people there. I mean, maybe Jeffries and everybody are kind of like looking forward to having the Dawn there to like go and, you know.
No one has beat Clyburn in South Carolina.
No, I know.
How long? Okay.
No, it's so crazy.
People are literally afraid to run against him because
he's so likable
there.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. He's so beloved there. And
he is,
you know, and he's well known there, not just because of him being a member of Congress. He was over the human affairs for the state for a long time. That was what he did. And prior to that, he was instrumental in integrating South Carolina, primarily the Columbia
area. He's a people person, and I think he reads people really well.
Yeah, he does.
Well, you give me more knowledge about this guy because I just hear his name all the time. I'm going, Clyburn.
And he looks really cuddly too. That's what I do like about him.
My daughter and I have this thing.
Snuggle.
Like, you know, he does. You ever notice the look on his face is always righteous indignation? Mm-hmm. I mean, even when he's happy, you can tell he still sits there. And exactly. He's happy today.
Yes, he's happy.
Because when he's mad, his eyebrows go in. But when he's happy, he sits there. I'm happy. I'm really happy about this going on today.
And he takes care of business. He really does.
So maybe then there is a rightful place for him.
But he always asks the opinion of his two daughters on what they think. He's like, I get most of my information from my two daughters. Again, waiting for those hearings.
I know. He's a Leo on the cusp of a Cancerian. I like that.
Okay.
He does look cuddly. I'm sorry.
He
does look cuddly. And I'm telling you, in person, he is so nice.
Mr. Cuddly.
He is so nice. He looks
Mr. Cuddly.
in the eye. He talks. I mean, he talks to you like you matter. Every person he talks to, he's the same way. And
and you know what? He's really exhibited his loyalty and his ability to go in the fight. He's one of our great fighters. Yeah, and he is not Boo Boo the Fool. I think
and these young people, and these young people who are like, Jim Clyburn's establishment. Y'all don't know Jim Clyburn.
No.
At all. It's like Jim Clyburn the last couple of years that you've been paying attention.
Do you know Jim Clyburn? Do you know him? I know that Gen X wants the spot, but he created his own new spot. You got to laugh about it and be like,
that's
all right,
that's funny.
Got to tip the hat.
He created a whole new. The hearings.
You got to tip off and go like.
Hearings have to happen.
He freaking out more than everybody.
How did he create a fourth?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, mostly in politics, they never like even numbers. Never. But he got it. He created it.
So the Cuddly Don.
Yes. And what's so funny too is that there probably always was that fourth, but we never talked about it.
It's true.
It was never brought up to our attention.
Well, he does find obscure laws.
Well, Hakeem was that fourth. Remember, Hakeem was that fourth, right?
So he sort of did a little shuffleboard here. Yeah. Because it's like he always finds obscure legislation. Look how they like finagled with Biden and just changed the game up. And I went to bed one night and Biden was losing miserably. And then the next morning I woke up and went, oh, he's the presidential nominee. Okay, damn. He won South Carolina.
Look, Jim Clyburn.
He's a master chess player.
Jim Clyburn went on TV and said, I support Joe Biden. And Black South Carolinians said, oh, you're
okay.
Our guy. You're our
and that
guy.
was it.
Your guy's our guy.
Yeah, he has to be credited for making that power play. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So before we on to the next, look has come in. Share night. Good night, everyone. We'll share. We showed this. We showed this.
Yep. And thank you for your sponsorship.
Yes, Ebony Occasions. We showed
thank
the
you,
box.
Ebony.
Actually, I'm reading on the gift box. Let's see if I can. No, you probably can't.
No, you can't
see
it.
It's a
No, there we go.
Now you can. Yes.
So,
Wiseman.
Merry Christmas, Winter House. Merry Christmas, Black Santa. 'Tis the city to sparkle. and seasons green. So
Oh,
you
so
get
there's
four.
there's 5 different cards in the box.
Oh, that's
Yes, 5
nice.
different. So the Love Christmas collection, each box contains 20 cards. So there we go, and you can get that at all
Thank
this
you.
work at ebonyoccasions.com. And this epic conversation is sponsored by Ebony Occasions, ebonyoccasions.com, and Instagram at Ebony Occasions. So
Well, she picked a good one to sponsor.
I know.
Well, all of them are good to sponsor. The only thing that's missing is Lala, but Lala will be back next week. We speak in it. So next up, we're talking about Dons. Here's another Don.
Oh, yikes.
It hasn't been a very good week for him. And I'm happy. And I'm happy about that.
Crazy.
Look, whatever her name was, she was just wrong in her rulings in doing this. It was obvious she was parading around for a party of one. And now that and basically all this does is say that the DOJ can use what they found against him, and that they don't have to have somebody else view the information first to determine whether or not they can or cannot use it. Because remember that order was going to stop them from conducting their investigation until the special master reviewed the documents himself to determine whether or not they could be used. And so I'm glad that the appeals court, all appointed by Republicans, 2 Trump appointees, 1 Bush appointee, all voted to, ruled that the special master is not necessary, and that, because it was very clear he took documents that he wasn't supposed to take by law. He broke the law.
Mm-hmm.
There's no getting around that. He broke the law, brought him home, showed him to that loudmouth, big mouth Kid Rock.
Still trying to call himself Kid Rock. Kid, it's,
Oh, the former rapper / now country artist.
Oh God, just be Bill or Bobby or whatever, Johnny or whatever your name is.
The racist with biracial kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I feel like, for the judge, Eileen Cannon, she really embarrassed herself and humiliated herself. And there's a lot of fallout from what just occurred. And, but we will see. I've gotten to the point where I just don't even count my chickens anymore on this. I just kind of watch what's happening and I sit back and I keep my mouth closed, because I have seen things that I never thought I would see going down in this country. With I know that Merrick Garland is, got his special counsel. Who that dude, John Smith or whatever, what's his name? Jack Smith. He looks like he's a cleaner. Like, I don't know. His face is no joke. Like, he looks like
he's got janitor written across his forehead.
He looked like the guy who's from Whiplash, who was the teacher who played teaching him how to play drums. The guy who, I love this actor who actually he could play this guy in a movie, who does those commercials on insurance. His face is very stern. And
the guy that used to be on SVU.
Yes, he looks like him. And it's not a crack a smile, it was like, well, maybe, yeah, he looks like he should take Merrick's job, because he's definitely more scary, but we'll see.
Something Biden should keep in mind.
Yeah, because this dude, I think, is the one, because he started moving swift, quick, fast, in a hurry, girl.
I know.
And look where we are.
You were worried at first.
I did. I said, this is going to be some nonsense. And I was worried. And then I looked at his face and I said, wow, he looks like a cross between those dudes from The Matrix, who, like, if you hit them and they keep coming back, and mixed with the guy who was on that movie. So yeah. I don't know anymore. I can't even really comment as much as we've known for a long time. They're telling us stuff that we already know, by the way.
But does American care anymore?
Probably not as much, because it would have been nice to just see that that this crazy judge was committing obstruction of justice, and she's out, and she's whatever. I mean, it never, there's too much bureaucracy. She did something wrong. And, there are many judges in America that are doing wrong things to people, whether it be in their bankruptcy courts, even at the lowest, the smallest levels, and they're not being held accountable. She's not being held accountable. And I think it's wrong. Like, who do we go to? The top judge. Who's the top judge? Oh, those kooky, goofy ass motherfuckers calling themselves SCOTUS.
Just Judge Judy.
Right, Judge Judy. Can she just handle this?
Embarrassed. She should be embarrassed because no judge wants to be overturned.
Oh my God, you're right.
In appeals. And not only that, they're overturning it with one sentence. It was two sentences. Right. They're like, we've reviewed such and such. We say no.
Yeah.
It's like even the appeal was embarrassing for her.
It was, but not enough, because
not enough for her.
Not enough for somebody to either step down, and also not enough anymore for these people to be held accountable. She's not the only one that's been doing things for him and still holding their jobs.
The unfortunate thing, and I fully support this new
J.K. Simmons, that's who his name is.
I fully support this bill that they're trying to pass, putting term limits on judges, because remember, she was appointed to a lifetime position. These judges get lifetime appointments, and that is a problem. And she's fairly young, so she's going to be there for a while. And I think that
she's 30-something,
right? And I think the way that we fix this is we put these term limits and we make them retroactive.
I mean, you know how many people are going to try to come to her and ask her for favors? Let's just see everybody. Yeah, she's totally compromised, and. It's like, this is our country, for goodness sake. If our government looks as raggedy as it does at the moment, I mean, we thought Nixon that was a fiasco. This has nothing. That Watergate, that's like child's play to what really has been going on here.
I mean, even the Republicans in Watergate stepped away from Nixon.
They did
after a while.
Yeah, these people, this new crop of
people have doubled down.
They're really reprehensible. And, they're pretty disgusting, because now the game is, well, when are you going to try me? And by the time you try me and we hold up everything in court, I'll never serve a day in jail.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I mean, that's the whole reason.
And I'll finally get a president who'll pardon me. Right.
Yeah, and that's the whole reason that Trump is running, is to run the clock out on these court cases.
Exactly.
And that's why he put that asinine message out that he wants to, let's do away with the Constitution, and let's hold the 2020 elections again. Sorry, bro, but guess what? You hold those again, you'll lose again. You won't win. You won't be happy with those results either, because if anything, if you do nothing, if he does nothing else well, he drives out angry Democrats.
He's just a stinky, smelly, stupid old man.
Ask.
He's old. He's just old and dusty.
He looks like he smells like mothballs.
Yeah, he looks like he smells like hot dog water.
And mothballs. Yeah. That's the combination's gross.
So let me ask, will any of both your opinions, will any of his legal implications have an impact on his run for the nomination?
No, they'll nominate him if they can.
Oh, no, they'll nominate him, and they'll stand by him, because here's the thing. Mm-hmm. When the man came down that escalator and said Mexicans are rapists and murderers, they co-signed on that quietly, because not one of them called him out specifically on that. They said, oh, he's despicable, he's this and that. But guess what? When he became the nominee, they fell in line. Look at Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is a prime example. He said, if Donald Trump is our nominee, we will pay for it.
Oh God! Everybody, Lindsey Graham has
and now
switched up on all of his friends. What a horrible person!
Now Lindsey Graham is sniffing his behind, and then remember, after January 6th, Lindsey Graham was up there. I'm done. I've had enough. And lo and behold, what does he do? Hey, do you think you can fix this election.
He starts saying, "I can't quit you."
He's willing to go to jail for that man. Okay, he is a target.
Lindsay sold out his friend John McCain. Look at who he sold out.
Yep.
His so-called friends, John McCain, Joe Biden, and then Joe Biden's son. I mean, like, whoa, with friends like that, who needs an enemy? Because Lindsey Graham is like depraved, or I mean, and everyone's like, oh, somebody must have something on Lindsay. Well, whatever it is,
nobody has anything on Lindsay that we don't know. Here's the thing:
Exactly.
nobody has anything on Lindsay we don't know. People keep stoking the rumor that Trump must have on him his sexuality. Guess what? People in South Carolina already know that.
Yeah,
they already know it. They've known it for years. Lindsay, and I just haven't found the right woman yet. No, because the right woman for you is not a woman; it's a man. People know that. They know this. It's not. That's not. That's not. What is it? It's not new.
Okay.
That's not what anyone has on him. I don't think anyone has.
He eats his boogers. That's that actually, to be honest,
disgusting.
That seeing something like that could really like freak me out with you. You know, like I remember this kid. I'm in a school class picture next to a guy who. That's what he did. I couldn't, because we were both tall, and I had to stand next to him. And I was like, and then and then he also had in the picture. He was like this. You know, one of those in your class picture.
I remember this girl from kindergarten and first grade who did that, and it used to be so disgusting.
I couldn't.
Okay, let's.
Anyway,
once we get into boogers, it's time to move on to the next. But who knows if it's going to get any better? This conversation. Elon Musk says Kanye West suspended from Twitter after his swastika tweet.
And let's be clear, he had the swastika in the Star of David.
Yes.
That was
daughter was wearing a shirt the other day with the Star of David.
Look, if it was just a swastika, Elon wouldn't have suspended him, because he doesn't suspend any of the Nazis that are on Twitter currently, with their swastikas and stuff. It was that. And Joe said this prior to us coming live, that Elon Musk knows who buys his cars. He didn't want this
and
was
who's
all,
on his board and who's on
this
his
was
board.
This was all a financial move for him. It had
First of all, I never understood why people are allowed to wear clothes of the flag.
You're actually not supposed to. That the rules about the flag is that it's not supposed to be made.
Right? Am I wrong? Okay, I thought they changed it or something, because when I grew up, you weren't allowed to. But these days, damn, I don't like it. You know, if I saw somebody like when I was growing up in the 60s, in defiance of like the Vietnam War or things like that, you would see it on like somebody's back of their trousers or their jeans, and that was considered really shocking then, because the fact would be that you were sitting on the United States flag. We really have no respect in this country. And maybe it's true. You start doing one little thing like that. I've never really gotten into burning flags and stuff.
Well, because they think that wearing the flag means that they're patriotic. No, how you vote, how you act, how you treat other people is patriotism. Not that you wear I
wouldn't have been allowed to wear a flag outfit. No.
But I'm trying to understand. We talked about this before we went live. Elon says that he's taking off all these restrictions. And I was under the interpretation he was going to do it for anyone can say what they want on Twitter. That's interesting. And I'm surprised not more people are pushing back, saying, why did you do it to him and not other? And I think Alex Jones is also
barred. Where you leave the N-word and you let people use that randomly. I mean, honestly, for a while, people were just going to random Black accounts and just typing the N-word hard.
But I got to say, you could report it at the time, and it was still it's just taking them a long time to get to taking it down. You couldn't really use the N-word as liberally as everybody wanted us to think. They were doing it. But if you notice, it took a good couple of weeks for a lot of people to turn around and start going, and my page got disconnected. You know, those people were very angry at Elon for a minute, but he fired so many people. I think that staffing of people that he had, he didn't really realize or underestimated. Yeah, he should have really captured like, oh, shoot. He also wasn't aware of the heinous stuff that people try to post, like torturing animals and horrible things. That job,
is all that stuff allowed back now?
no, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a team of people that they're even on Facebook. It's one of the worst jobs you could possibly have. And
Yeah,
they
those
have to have
people talk about, oh
psychologists,
my gosh, they do.
psychiatrists on the floor for these people. And you cannot do it for more than, I don't know, 6 months or a year. It does have a heavy rotation
Yeah.
because you
And
are
remember-
seeing things that people stream and do like nobody's business. So, yeah, I mean, in a way, I know he puts up a front about, I don't want any regulations, but he probably does want regulations
Well,
to
you
some
know-
degree, but he wants it to be the government saying they're going to do it.
But here's the thing, like Facebook didn't put regulations in effect until after someone used Facebook Live to kill someone and
And filmed
several
it.
100,000 people saw it.
Yeah.
That's why they ended up being a little bit more forceful
Mhm.
on how they regulate. Elon Musk, well, the sad part is something like that is going to have to happen before he goes back on his whole free speech thing and say, hey, this is not going to be tolerated.
I mean, the saddest part of it all is that some of the footage that people, crazy or otherwise, post to these things are sick. And you do need to have a team in place in order to know which authorities you need to contact and really make some really valuable moves. But the saddest part is trying to explain that to idiots who keep going, well, it's their free speech. It's like people who go on about Britney Spears and they're all talking about she needed to be free. And then you keep looking at her page over and over and going, something ain't right.
Yeah.
It still ain't right.
Yeah.
But then there's also people kind of encouraging it on, like, she can do whatever she wants. If she wants to be naked online, and you're like, yeah, you're absolutely right. But there's something wrong here. So
you can see it, it's obvious.
Right. We're in a really weird place with this free speech, but free speech does have cause and effect.
Right.
And
you're not free. It's not free of consequences.
You guys said that before we came on.
Free speech is not free of consequences. And not only that, the people that are like free speech never read the First Amendment of the Constitution.
Right.
That free speech, the way that they intended it was for the government, for you to not face retaliation from the government. Private entities can say what is and what is not tolerable on their platforms. And I mean, this whole thing with Kanye West, it got so embarrassing. Remember the GOP had that tweet that said Kanye, Elon, Trump?
Yes.
They didn't remove it. This made them remove it. That particular tweet that Kanye did, it made them remove it.
Well, and again, we were talking before we went live, him appearing on Alex Jones with a thing like, was it a
scarf
over his
It has a zipper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's that all about?
He's crazy.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. He's crazy. Kanye West, he actually did an interview with someone a couple of days ago where he said, I have medication. I don't take it because it was prescribed to me by, well, I won't say it was prescribed to me by and who the doctor was. Oh, he was Jewish. And so it's like,
no.
I think that
he didn't
this
prescribe
is
it to you because he's Jewish. He prescribed it to you because there is fundamentally something wrong with you in the head. I'm tired of the excuses that, he hasn't been right since his mother died. I'm sorry. Look at Kanye before his mother died. Kanye has never been right.
Right.
Well, it's
and
interesting.
Also the fact that,
so glad I was
they didn't have children the old fashioned way is kind of telling. It wasn't because probably poor Kim. And if it was, wow, what a vain fucking bitch. The reality is your husband, your kids had to be fixed in a lab because you needed to parse out with that embryo all of its features that feature in your husband, which is clearly a lithium-based drug that he must be on, which means no dicky action. And it also means basically that there could be a side of multiple personality disorder, not bipolar. I have never known anybody with bipolar disorder. I think it's an insult to other people who do have that to put him in that category. As we all know, Kanye actually decided to tell everybody it was bipolar. And I believe it's something more severe. And it's pretty clear that it's escalating. This is a very dangerous human being who has now convinced other people to say that Hitler, let's not forget, he said that Hitler was great, basically. And other people today are tweeting that Hitler liked black people. He was the one who told the black people that they were the original Jews. It's like, no, but
there are books by people who were in
30 million people follow Kanye. And as I say, con, like C-O-N, like a con. He's a big con. And I'm sorry. It's like to see younger people writing that now. Oh, yeah. Seeing them on the bridge in California about Jewish people. Kanye was right.
But, y'all should have known that something was wrong with Kanye West when Jay-Z and Beyonce were like, we don't fuck with those two anymore.
I was never a big fan, so it doesn't really,
I was never a fan of Kanye West, ever.
I mean,
when he compared himself to Emmett Till, I was not. And that goes back to that song, Through the Fire.
Yeah, I don't really consider splicing people's songs together being a musician anyway. I'm a bit of a music snob. Sorry. I gave him his flowers, whatever. But the reality is I don't really consider him a musician. I consider him a grift that got on the thing, and, people were able to make money and they took music out of the school system. So what else were kids going to have but that bullshit?
Look,
but frankly, do we have to keep hearing all these fucking rap songs that, do I have to hear the problems of these people making money who sold out their community?
Look, the best thing I can say that Kanye West did
exploiting
was Blueprint 3 for Jay-Z. That was the best thing that Kanye West did. Anything else?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's a really messed up hierarchy, and it's an establishment that couldn't be more capitalistic if it tried. There are people in the Black communities that have never benefited from how have Black people benefited from rap music in our communities? How? Please tell me.
Let's leave it on that. That's a good last question to leave on. So, end of another epic conversation, family.
We're done for tonight. Wow, that was quick. Normally, Dr. Vibe, we go all the way to 7:30.
Well, there's only two of y'all.
Oh,
remember
that's
three, right? Right.
Yeah.
Remember, two of y'all. But hey, we're almost at the bottom of the second hour as it is.
Right.
Okay.
So think of it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So we want to say thanks to everyone who caught this live or on the replay. Oh, some more comments. Jen goes, great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And also Cher goes, people are always reactive as opposed to proactive. Shake my head.
Yes.
And she says, you are very welcome. Saying to you all three of you, only two of you here, but three, I say you're a breath of fresh air compared to the mainstream media, which can be so biased. As a Canadian, it's so interesting to hear your perspectives on all of the madness that's going on.
Thank you, Cher.
And it is madness.
Yeah. But keep making the world beautiful, Cher, with those beautiful cards, and it gives people hope. I'm sorry. And also, let's bring back giving cards. I don't want to do the stuff anymore.
Thank you.
I love getting cards. I still have my cards from 20 years ago.
Yeah, I do. Have cards from when I turned 21.
Yes, me too. I love a great card. I will not throw them out. And people wonder why. I was like, I'm attached to you if it's a card. It's you, Sorry.
Your
I'm just kind of corny like that. Yeah, I love it. Girl, I don't even know if kids can handwrite anymore in script.
Could I admit something? When I have to write something these days, it can be a little bit of a challenge going, how long have I actually written something?
It's harder when we get older.
Yeah.
It's like, do you remember how your grandmother used to give you a note to go to the store to pick up something?
Yeah,
and then as time went on, you'd be like, Grandma, what the hell did you write? Because just like, wow. And I used to have such great penmanship. And you know who else had beautiful handwriting? Prince did.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It is beautiful.
If you got a letter from him, it was beautiful. Yeah. I told you, he was telling me how to sign my own name to things. This is how you could write your name. I was like, yes, I thank you. but he had beautiful handwriting, and he
Yeah, I
he
still actually
appreciated
do.
it in
I
others.
still actually do write things longhand. Like I still write letters to people.
Oh, it's so wonderful. I love the mail. I love that, getting, a nice card and
Well,
letters.
hopefully you'll get some of these.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yes.
better order them soon because I have to get my Christmas stuff out.
Me too.
There you
Because
go.
I admit I got a couple of old Christmas cards boxes that I never send.
Mm.
You know,
They just-
look, I reconnected with my best friend from when I was 12, and we used to write letters to each other all the time and give them to
So
each other in
nice.
school. And I promised her I was going to write her one of our old-fashioned letters. So I am going to do that this weekend.
Nice.
And I'm going to send her one of those cards.
All right. Well, this is good. We're getting back into penmanship.
Oh, yeah.
Getting back into penmanship. Well, before we let them go, how can we get a hold of both of them? So first up, Jill Jones time.
Jill D. Jones at Twitter and Jill Jones Music at Instagram.
Excellent.
Um,
Aisha K. Staggers.
Aisha Staggers at Twitter. And I just want to say happy birthday, 30th birthday to my cousin Brendan Lark, will be 30 tomorrow, which will also be her last day on Broadway in Play 6. So if you can see it, go ahead and see it.
Oh, and we
Excellent.
forgot to mention Christine McVie, who passed away.
Yes, she passed
Fleetwood
away.
Mac.
Yes, she passed away this week.
Yeah. And
I had no
Pele is-
idea she was 79.
I
didn't
did.
either.
I went, wow.
I was like, wow, she was like almost 20 years older than me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
All
Pele
of
is
us.
doing end of life care.
Pele.
soccer
I
player.
didn't.
Pele.
I heard Pele is in hospice.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
Cher sends hearts.
Oh, thank you, Cher.
All right. So, wow, another conversation. So let's do it. You can watch replays of this on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, or on my website, the drviveshow.com. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the ladies off and we will do the close here. We can chat after the conversation. And also would like to say, would you like to promote your business or service on your show? Just like Ebony Occasions are. They're promoting their business or service on the show. Contact me. We'd love to do it. So this is how we end off. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. We'll see you next week. If you are a praying person, say a little prayer for Lala to be better so she can be back with us next week. God bless. Peace well. Keep the faith. While good.